We all love Superman because he's the best of the best, right? Well, right, but also wrong. He's great, and I love how good he is. In fact, he's actually my dad's favorite superhero, which means I really can never knock him. But throughout the years, some have commented, sometimes including me, that the original Superman is a little too good. Sometimes his overall nobility makes him boring, especially when you combine it with how unstoppable he seems. I mean, he was given a weakness to magic just to pretty much balance him out, which is also probably why there are so many alternates of the guy. Today we're going to take a look at some of the more exciting and interesting alternates as we count down the top 10 alternate versions of Superman better than the original. Be sure to stay tuned to the very end where I will have some sweet bonus content for you, and feel free to plug your predictions as to which alternates will make the list now. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10. Cyborg Superman. What if Superman was the Terminator? That's basically what this version of Superman is. He comes to us from the reign of Superman and is actually Hank Henshaw. Well, Hank Henshaw's brain inside a cyborg, more specifically. After Hank's brain is transferred to the cyborg, he decides to become Superman. Cause I mean, why not? His plan is to use the alias of Superman in order to destroy Metropolis with a nuclear missile. So a little more insidious than Terminator really, who is only targeting one person, Sarah Connor. He ends up being outed as a fake and being taken down by the real Superman. While he's not better than Superman in terms of power level, a cyborg version of the hero just seems a little more interesting to me. Number 9. Centaur Superman. Yeah, Superman turns into a freaking centaur in this weird 90s comic miniseries called Whom Gods Destroy. It's really a bizarre one, but you should also read it. Even before Superman undergoes the transformation, I really like this alternate because it gets to explore what the world is like when it actually ages, but Kal-El obviously does not. In this reality, Lois and Lana are now elderly women and have to deal with the fact that Superman hasn't really physically aged. Mentally, Superman is starting to become detached from the world. In comic books, we don't really have a realistic representation of the passage of time because no one is ever allowed to really get old. This series explores that a bit. Then it also gets really weird when we find out that Germany is ruled by Nazis and the god Adonis. Superman gets turned into an evil centaur, Lois becomes Wonder Woman, Lana becomes the Oracle of Delphi. It's strange, but also through the combination of mythology and comics, we get to see the characters' internal struggles reflected in the transformations that they undergo. It's just a really interesting exploration of Superman's internal crises. And then it gets a happy ending where all three live in a polyamorous love triangle on the moon in Superman's Fortress of Solitude. Aww. Number 8. Ultraman. So evil, he's so evil. This evil version of Superman may not be using his powers for good, but other than that huge con, he has some pretty big pros. Superman's weaknesses becoming Ultraman's strengths being one of the big ones. Kal-El is weakened by kryptonite, but for Ultraman it only makes him stronger. Also, DC gave Superman a weakness to magic because otherwise he'd obviously be too OP, right? Well, Ultraman is just that much more OP because he doesn't have this weakness either. He actually has murdered many magic-using gods on his own Earth, so he's simply better for capability. Sure, the sun weakens him, but he can still beat Superman any night of the week. As long as you don't mind the evil part. You don't mind the evil part, do you? We're all a little bored of Superman's goody two-shoes act, right? I don't mind the evil part. Number 7. Injustice. Okay, so admittedly this Superman is a lot darker than the OG, but I kind of love that about him. Sorry guys, I really love dark superheroes. You know me, the closer the superhero is to walking that line of supervillainy, the more I am into them. The Injustice games have great alternate versions of almost every favorite DC character out there. Superman's story and the story of the game itself is set into motion after Joker tricks him into believing Lois is Doomsday, which causes her death and the death of Superman and Lois's unborn baby. This plus the destruction of Metropolis makes Superman just lose it. He kills the Joker and sets out to bring about world peace through world domination. At the end of the game, if you choose him to win against Batman, he even uses Brainiac technology to control Bruce's mind. Would you want to live in a peaceful, Superman-controlled world? Number 6. British Superman. This version of Superman appears in a one-shot that was written by Kim Johnson and, get this, John Cleese. Its hilarity and British humor is what makes Kelvin Kent, this alternate version of Kal-El, stand out. The one-shot explores the idea of what would happen if the little Kryptonian baby crash-landed in England. He grows up on a farm with his adoptive parents in the countryside, and it takes a while for him to use his powers, because his parents actually would prefer if he didn't. They think that if anyone were to ever find out, they would fear and hate their son, so they tell him to not use them and just keep them hidden. Be a good British boy. It's even how he starts wearing glasses. His dad actually gives him a pair of specs that were inside the ship that transported Calvin to Earth. These specs help to prevent Kal-El from using his heat vision abilities. He finally does decide to start using his powers when he sees innocent people in danger. In that moment, he dons a Superman suit with the Union Jack on the front, and that becomes his costume for the rest of the one-shot. All in all, it's just a colorful comic to read. Even the Queen of England approves of this version of Superman. How can you deny the Queen of England? You probably can't, actually. Monarchs are not cool. I mean, sometimes they're. Mixed bag. Number 5. Kal-El. What if we could have a world where Superman was in charge, but not oppressively so? Well, that exists. If you turn to Earth 23. There we have Kal-El, who is built in the vein of Barack Obama. He is the son of Laura and Jor-El, who managed to save him by putting him on a rocket ship just before their planet of Krypton was destroyed. He was raised by the Ellis family, who found him. They raised him as their own, christening him Calvin Ellis. And in his universe, he grew up to become the President of the United States, fighting for truth, justice, liberty, and equality from both sides. Even Lois Lane of Earth 45 says that Calvin must be Superman done right. He ends up being the one Superman who manages to defeat Super Doom of Earth 45, who is basically an evil robot created by Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen, and Clark Kent. Number 4. Captain Marvel. Earth 5 Superman counterpart is actually DC's Captain Marvel, and who doesn't love Billy Batson? This version of Billy has a history that presumably mirrors that of the main continuity, but we don't really know for sure as it's never actually confirmed or dug into. Captain Marvel is really just a more lighthearted version of Superman, as he's a kid in an adult's body, which makes him just a little bit more fun. Who as a kid would not want to be a superhero? He joined the Supermen of the Multiverse to help Superman defeat the Mandrake the first time. After Mandrake was defeated, Superman knew he would return, so Captain Marvel went out to help recruit even more alternate Supermen for their team. Number 3. Captain Alan Adams. Adams was a member of Superman's Supermen team in Superman Beyond. After encountering the new Mandrake, Superman had Captain Marvel venture off to assemble a team of Supermen from across the multiverse. Monitor Zilovala and Captain Marvel recruit Captain Alan Adams from Earth 4. He is a combination of Captain Atom and Dr. Manhattan in terms of his characterization and abilities. His abilities include telekinesis, superior intellect and mental capacity, enhanced senses and perception, quantum superposition, which allows him to make copies of himself of various sizes, and reality alteration. He was even able to combine the minds of Ultraman and Superman together in the fight against Mandrake, creating another insanely powerful alternate version basically of himself. Number 2. Super Demon. One of Superman's greatest weaknesses is magic, right? I've said that like 3 times in this video. But what if it was one of his greatest strengths instead? We get to explore this idea with Super Demon of Earth 13. He is a combination of Etrigan and Superman. Super Demon's powers include magic, Hellfire Vision, which is similar to Superman's heat vision, super strength and speed, and fire breath. Plus he's a demon, so he can call on his demon heritage for extra strength. He fights against vampires who invaded his world and imprisoned him and his fellow teammates from the League of Shadows. He even had to go up against another strange alternate of Superman in the fight against the vampires, Vampire Ultraman. Yeah, Earth 13 is pretty weird and pretty great. Vampires everywhere. Number 1. Super Soldier. Coming to us from Amalgam Comics, this version of Superman is a combination of Marvel's Captain America and DC's Superman. Super Soldier is the ultimate golden boy of the comic world as such. Combining the ideals of these two characters has to give you the most purely good comic book character in comic book history. Super Soldier was originally Clark Kent, who was transformed after being exposed to the Super Soldier Serum and solar radiation. This experimental process granted him superpowers. He's basically a stronger, even sweeter version of Superman. His pals Jimmy Olsen and Agent Peggy take on Hydra, and Clark Kent loses his love interest Lois Lane to Lex Luthor when she marries him. Lex Luthor later transforms into villain Green Skull after injecting himself with Green K, which is Super Soldier's version of kryptonite. This This gives him a longer lifespan but also turns his skin green. Thanks for watching, Nerd Squad. I hope you found some of these alternates just a little more interesting than our original Superman. Like I said, I love OG Superman, but these alternates really just allow us to explore some more interesting sides of the hero. He probably has the most eclectic ensemble of alternates in all of the DC universe. What alternates are your faves? Which did you feel that we missed? Do you prefer original Superman, or is there an alternate that you love more? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're on your way down there, be sure to like, subscribe, share, and ring our bell for all of the nerdy notifications. This is Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy YouTube, and to watch out for that bonus content. Da da da, waiting for the thing to scroll. Boop boop. The nerds will kill me. I'll say heat vision. I think that's what it's called for Superman. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm gonna say I'm saying it right.